Hi, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of Talk It Out. So, here in Slay Life, we strongly believe the voices and opinions of students matter. Society mainly consists of education taught from a top down structure and not a bottom up. So, in Slay Life, we want to support and persevere and guide all students around the world to speak up about their story, concerns, and advice to younger generations. Talk It Out in specific is a series where we can do this exact component. We bring together teenagers or college students and ask them to have a fruitful discussion about different types of questions posed to them. So the aim is for people to listen in and hopefully take something away from it. So today we'll be talking about parent and teenager relationship. So joining me for this episode, I have Devika and Kyati. So let's start off with the first segment, which is called No More, where I'll be posing questions about how your relationship with your parents is. So the first question is, how would you describe the relationship that you have with your parents? Devika, you can go ahead and start.
I think I have a pretty good relationship with both of them. Um, but if I have to describe how it is, I would say my connection with my mom is very personal. Like I can talk to her about anything, and there's a possibility of her understanding it better than my dad. I talk to both of them, but the possibility is better with my mom. With my dad, it's more practical, and I know I can go with any kind of question and he will have an answer. So that's the kind of relationship I have with my dad. But with my mom, I know that, if I call her at 2 a.m. crying, she'll be there to calm me down.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good relationship. I feel I could say that my mom is definitely one of my closest friends. So yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Kathy?
I actually agree with Devika. I have something similar. But for me, the only difference is when I go to my mom, she'll first solve my problem and then she'll scold me or advise me that you need to do this further. But in case of dad, it is vice versa. He'll first scold or advise and then he'll bring out a solution to your problem. But definitely, I'll also firstly approach my mom and maybe how I need to process how to bring it in front of dad so that the advices and scoldings are a little less to move further. So, but definitely both are great, and you need both. You need a balance. So I think they also try to make it appropriate. One remains strict, one remains friendly, because I believe they also have decided a lot that while bringing up your children, not both of them can be friendly enough, otherwise the children can be spoiled. So I think it is their own approach to bring up the children.
Okay. Devika, do you often hide things from your parents?
Uh, um, I would say I used to at some point, but there was this stage where I saw my sister being completely open to my mom. So I started trying it, or I think she started trying from her side more to be more open. But yeah, I think I do tell my mom most of the things, like be even in college. If I have to go for a party, I literally just tell my mom that I have a party and I have to go, and this is the whole situation, and she understands. But obviously, there are situations where I try to keep things away from her, uh, let it be about me or my friends, because I just feel like that is better, because I don't want her to stress out thinking how will I do. So I do keep some things away from her, but with my dad, I think he barely knows anything. I feel like he'll forget if I say, so that's probably the reason. But mostly, yeah, I think I do tell my mom most of the things. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And Kathy, you?
I think I used to hide things from my parents because I usually thought they wouldn't understand. But like Devika said, like her sister approached first, my sister did the same thing and they were pretty cool about it. And I thought, why is this happening? They're not cool about me and they are cool about her. But then I had a word with her and she said that there are things that you have to initiate. Your parents can only guide you or comfort you when you talk to them. So then eventually she held my hand and she pushed me to talk to them, and I thought the things changed. Now I can talk to them about things. Firstly, speaking of my personal experience, I write poetries even now. So I was even afraid of sharing those things to my parents that I do this. I just thought it was unacceptable to pursue your hobby is not something that the society takes it in a good way even now. They are more like, what will you earn out of it? So I was not really very open about it, but my sister pushed and she took me to my parents and said that, you see, this is what she's doing and this is what she's good at. So I got that support. So I think it is at times that we don't speak up. I in my personal life I have faced this, so that is my thing.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, you bring up a good point because our parents are pretty much born in a different generation, and times have changed. So I guess my next question is like, are your viewpoints and the way you look at life different from how your parents look at life? Devika, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's I can say yes and no to this question, because at several points I've seen my parents think the way I do and they understand where I'm coming from. So as a dancer slash writer, whatever I consider myself as, they always told me to pursue. But also there's this factor where they also think about, oh wait, what will the society say if things go wrong? There is a balance of both, I would say, but I see myself disagreeing to a lot of their point of views when it comes to different perspectives. But I think we reach some sort of consensus and we agree to it, where my point of view is also taken into consider. Or I think it's mostly because from what I've seen, our generation knows to fight for what they want. They know where they're right and they know where they're wrong, so we fight for it. So I think we do kind of convince at least some of us end up convincing our parents that, hey, we do have something about what we are saying is right. So I think there is a lot of difference in the way we think, but I think both the generations sometimes kind of reach some sort of consensus and we agree upon it. I don't know, it depends upon us, I think, but yeah.
Khyati, do you have something to add to that?
I believe that my parents will usually think on the negative sides of the problems. If I'm trying to start something new, they'll just focus on what problems can be there, whereas I'll focus on what future I can make. So like, our generation doesn't really think of the hurdles that are going to come, whereas they are more practical about it because they have seen and they have been through. So when they speak to me about such things, I can also get to know that, yes, apart from the pros, there are some cons related to it as well that we need to think. So I think it is better that, you also need positivity to work, but you also need to keep a balance of the negativities so that you just don't stumble across somewhere thinking only about the positivities. The road has to lead somewhere. So I think that when you discuss it with them, you get to know a lot that, yes, there are positive aspects which they will definitely understand because they want you to progress. But there are also negativities that you have to work upon before starting your journey. You have to be well prepared. So for that, I think the viewpoints definitely differ. But when you work on the viewpoints together, it is definitely a road that will be crossed.
Okay. And my next question is, since we are college students, we're teenagers, do you guys tell your parents about parties and drugs and relationships? And if you do, what are their reactions towards that?
In my case, I think my mom initially, before I went to college, told me that, you know what, there are gonna be a lot of parties. This is what's gonna happen in college. So just let me know if you're part of it, so that if something goes wrong, I won't be surprised. And I got where that's coming from, because it made sense. If something goes wrong, I want my mom to take my side in that. So I always made sure she knew what I was doing. So like I said, whenever I went for a party, I used to call her and say, hey, this is where I'm going, and I'm gonna stay at someone's place, someone particular. And then she used to say yes to that. Drugs, I mean, I wouldn't know. but when it comes to relationships, I mean, even alcohol, I think I've had that conversation with my mom, and she always used to tell me, you know what, I don't mind you trying it, but you should know your limits. You should be always in your senses so that you know what you're doing. And I agree to that. I completely agree to that. And when it comes to relationships, I've been pretty open with my mom throughout. She always asks me, and I know that she's okay with it until the conditions match. Like, she has certain conditions about the kind of person I should date. So until that matches, she's okay with it, and she just wants to know I'm happy. So I have had that conversation with her, and I think I'm pretty open about it with my mom. With my dad, he knows that I party, but I don't think he's very well updated about what's happening on a day-to-day basis. But I do tell him that, hey, this is my lifestyle there. But yes, mostly with my mom that these conversations go.
And you, Kathy?
I don't think that I totally share about such things with my parents, because I think I haven't tried actually. Like I said, that you need to initiate. I haven't done that, but I don't think they'll be okay with it, because there's this stereotype that always goes on that if you party, that there will be something wrong that will be happening. And I don't want to put that stress on my parents that you are into something, and that constantly worries them. So, and then I think they always try, if that happens, they'll always try to spy on your activities, and you need your personal space, definitely. So I don't think that is one thing that I do.
Okay. And this question is kind of similar to a previous question that I asked, but if you guys have different viewpoints, as you've said, but what is their reaction to those viewpoints? Like, are they willing to negotiate with you and come to a middle ground, or are they more like they don't want to talk about it and just move on? Like, what are their specific reactions to opposing viewpoints?
I think it totally depends upon the topic, because I've faced certain issues where we could never reach some sort of consensus. They always had justifications for having their point of view. But when I expressed mine, they said, it's just because you haven't seen the world enough. It's just because you're young. It's just because you're a teenager. But then I feel like the world they've seen is completely different from the world we live in. And sometimes it's hard for them to accept it. So they keep on justifying their opinions, and it's near impossible to convince them that there's a possibility of us being right. I'm just saying possibility. Even if I'm right, I will literally say there's a possibility of me being right here, but they won't agree to it. But there were times where they did agree to me, but it always takes a lot of time to convince them that, hey, I have there's some sense in what I'm saying. It always takes a lot of time, because they feel like there is no chance of them being wrong, because they've seen the world more. So we do reach some kind of middle ground depending on the kind of conversation we are having, but I will never say that it comes easy. There's a long journey between the starting point and reaching the middle ground. So yeah.
Kathy?
For me, I don't think that there is something like I cannot put up my point. Yes, I can. Yes, we always reach on middle grounds to solve the issue. Obviously, I also hear like Devika that we have seen the world enough and you don't know this, you don't know that. Definitely that happens. You have to convince. But I think eventually they also try to listen to your points, because they all at some point of time they also know that the generation has changed and you need to change along with the generation. So even if unwillingly, I think they need time to just be with you on the same ground. And I think that is the part where we do the convincing. So they know that they have to do this, but they are just not ready to do it. So maybe that takes time, but I don't think they cut me off. They'll also ask for my viewpoints when an important decision is going on. So I think that is the thing. There is a middle ground always that we need to work on, and that happens in my case.
So as Devika mentioned before, we have lived in a completely different life compared to our parents. So is there anything that your parents have learned from the way that you live your life?
I think yes, when it comes to social media mostly, because for the longest time they did not understand why I put so much effort and time into what I'm doing on my social media. And they keep, especially my dad, because my mom has an Instagram account of her own, so like she learned it by herself. But my dad has huge questions about why am I spending so much time, what is going on inside there, like you should live in the reality and all of that. But I think he understood eventually, because he started seeing the kind of work I'm getting through Instagram, like whatever I'm putting out there, there is some kind of response I'm getting out of it. So like they started accepting it, and most of all they started promoting it as well, so they understood where it's coming from and the importance of putting yourself out there in front of the public, and having a platform that is open to the entire world, right? So they started understanding it and they started helping me with it. So that is one aspect that I found that I'm happy that they understood, because it's really important for me. It's my work. So yeah, that pretty much, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Kathy?
I think initially for every bills or every shopping that they had to do, they used to go to the store, and that was annoying. Or after we grew up, they used to ask us to do that. But now it is much easy. I just sat once or twice and just taught them this is how you operate various payment sites or various online shopping sites. So I think that is one great thing that I enjoy seeing them doing. That come on, yes, they are with us.
That's great. So the next question, the final question for this segment is, I think I can kind of gauge from, your relationship with your parents. I think this answer is pretty obvious, but do you guys value your parents' opinion and acceptance towards your decision more than anyone else in your life?
Pretty much yes, a lot, because I feel like how I see the world or whatever I do, it's like a lot of it is influenced by my parents. Like I've learned it from them. And so like when I learn something new and when I do something new which is completely different from their point of view, I really need them to accept me. Even though that's not necessary, I know that it's completely not necessary. If I like what I do, that's enough. But then there is this part of you that needs to be accepted by two people you look up to. So in my case, I look up to them and they inspire me. So it really matters to me. But I mean, even if they don't accept it, I think eventually I will like convince myself that it's okay. But that hasn't happened yet, so I wouldn't know how that is. So I can't say. But yeah, pretty much yes.
What about you, Kathy?
I think yes, I need their acceptance. I mean, I'll do the things, but it wouldn't satisfy me or it wouldn't motivate me to keep on going, because there will always be a guilt inside that I'm doing something that upsets my parents, or there is something wrong that I'm doing. There is nobody to guide me. If I'm in a problem, who will I approach if they are not supporting? So I think I need their validation. I'll just, whatever I have decided, I'll talk to them. I'll just even if they say no, I'll try to convince them, but I'll make them accept and then only go further, because I need them with me.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I think it's the same for me. I value their opinion more than anyone else. So let's move on to the next segment. It's Would You Rather, where I'll just be posing you two different scenarios and you just have to pick between the two. So yeah, let's get started. The first question is, would you rather go to Las Vegas with your parents or Maldives with your friends? Devika, you can start off.
It's a really good question. See, I've gone to Las Vegas with my parents. So now it's really hard for me to say Maldives with my friends. But because I've gone there, maybe Maldives with my friends. That makes more sense to me right now. So yeah, that makes.
What about you, Kathy?
Maldives with my friends.
Would you rather sneak out of your own house for the whole day, or would you sneak someone in for a couple of hours? Devika?
I think for the whole day or few hours. I think sneak out of the house for a whole day.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm dead scared to bring someone home without them knowing. So yeah.
And you?
I'll sneak in somebody.
Great. Would you rather live somewhere really cold or live somewhere really hot?
Cold.
Cold.
Cool.
Happy. Okay, great. Would you rather go to the past and meet your ancestors or go to the future and meet your great-great-grandchildren?
I think
This
it's really confusing, but I think I might. Uh, oh shit, this is really confusing. I think I might. I might go to the past.
Go to the-
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy.
I'll also like to go to the past because at least I'll get to hear some stories about the people I know. I don't know my grandchildren yet. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
More time.
More time. Kathy.
time.
Time. Okay. Would you rather host a party at your own house or go to a friend's party?
It's usually always at my house, so like friends.
Okay. Kathy.
At friends.
Friends. You guys don't want to take the responsibility, I'm guessing.
I'm
No,
done
no,
with
it's
it.
too much mess.
Got it. Would you rather go out drinking with your parents for one night or stay at home for one whole month?
Oh, drinking for one night with my family.
Okay. Kathy?
I think my and Devika answers are totally same most of the time. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you'd go out drinking with your parents.
Definitely.
Okay. Would you rather explore the ocean or explore space?
Space.
Ocean.
Ocean. Okay. Okay, so great. That was Would You Rather. Now we'll move on to the next segment, Teen Batein. So I'll just be asking you to list out 3 different things for one question, which is in relation to parent-teenager relationships. So the first one is 3 ways you try to remain close to your parents. Devika?
I think one would definitely be the fact that the way they say they've seen the world more. They know what is right, what is wrong. At least they have an idea about it, so they can always guide me to what is where I should be. So I can always go to them for opinions. 2, they know me the best. So like if I fall down and I need help, they know to pick me up back, because that has happened, and I know that their position, their place in my life is really valuable. That's 2. 3 is because since they've supported me so much, I would like for them to be there even when I succeed. So like I want them to see it, I want them to be there, and I want to treat them back the way they did. So like that's good enough, I think. 3 reasons.
Okay. 3 traits of your parents that you love.
I think my mom is very patient, so I got that from her. Apart from that, from my dad, I got that no matter how much people judges, you do your own work. That is okay. And also, I can judge people very well. So even that is one thing that I got from my dad.
And the last question is 3 advices you would give to people who have a weak relationship with their parents.
3 advices. If there are people who are willing to have a good relationship with their parents, then I would say start off by 1, finding more reasons to spend time with them. Like instead of running away from it, you rather sit there and find a common ground where everyone is equally interested in doing that particular activity, so that you're all involved and you have a chance to communicate. It might not be the best thing, but it's a beginning to that. 2, just think that there is a possibility that they will understand where you're coming from, because most of us always ends up thinking that you know what, they'll never understand, but there is a possibility of them understanding. So that thought itself is a good enough reason to like start opening up. Um, and third would be maybe sometimes occasionally listening to what they say, because I know that it's really hard to do that, because you think that they're wrong. Sometimes they are, just because they're older to us, just because they're our parents, they might not be right, but occasionally, and most of the time in my case, they are right. So like, just understanding that they might be right, and also giving them the credits for that as well. Like once they're right, instead of saying, okay, maybe you were right, so just, I don't know,
Yeah.
just say thank you for being there and just appreciate the little things. I think that's three things I would suggest.
Okay. And you, Kathy?
I think I'll ask them to, talk to them more politely, because we teenagers have a tendency of throwing things on them which are difficult to digest. But instead, if we talk politely and in a loving manner to them, I think they are ready to give their world for us. So I think that is one thing that I'll advise. Another thing that, like Devika mentioned, is to spend more time with them. There is nothing more for parents to, just be around the children and talk about them. They'll keep talking even when we are not around them. They'll keep talking about us. Okay? So it is better that we are around them and we can be part of their interesting conversations about us. Also, it is good to put up your points. Tell them when they are wrong, but not to harm the ego. At times we tell them that they are wrong, that they don't understand us, that they are not doing a perfect job, but I think they are doing it more than what we will be doing as parents. So
Yeah.
everybody is going through their ups and downs, and I think we should just support them as we expect them to support us.
Yeah. I completely agree. I don't think parents are perfect human beings, and we kind of put
Yes.
them up in a higher pedestal when they don't need to be. And sometimes,
Yes.
like also as Devika said, sometimes they are right. They are the ones who are right, and we only realize that like years down the line. So I feel like we should always,
Yes.
try to see their side as well as teenagers, especially as teenagers, because we always think that we're always right when we're teenagers, which is just not the case at all. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much. And it was really, really fun getting to talk to you guys and hearing your advices and opinions. And also, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There will be a few more episodes to come of this. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And visit our website, slaylife.in, to know more about us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.